very good morning to you, dear listener, and welcome to Perspectives, a current affairs discussion program on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. Today on Perspectives, we focus on practicing dry season farming in Benue State. The dry season is already around the corner, and how can farmers navigate the challenges of dry season farming using innovative techniques and strategic planning to ensure bountiful harvest? We shall discuss effective irrigation systems, suitable crop selection, soil management strategies, as well as financial and technical support options for dry season farming. Can Benue key into the experience for dry season farming to ensure all year-round food security at a time the nation is grappling with the challenge of food insecurity? We shall find answers to this, as I have a team of panelists who are ready in the studio to drive conversation. First, Professor Godwin Abu is a former director, Institute for Food Security at the Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makurdi, currently the program director, program coordinator, market and institutions at that same institute. He is an agricultural economist. Professor Abu, good to have you join us on Perspectives, and welcome to Agate Radio once again.
Thank you, and good morning, listeners.
The former state chairman of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN, Benue State Chapter, currently the state coordinator, Institute for Sustainable Agriculture, Natural Resources, and
Thank you very much.
You mentioned to me you have been conferred with an honorary doctorate fellow of this institute. So we congratulate you on your award of fellowship. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much.
Dear listener, if you are tuning in for the first time, Perspectives is audience participation, the platforms through which you can be a part of the program. Let's begin right away, Professor Abu. Benue has stakes in dry season farming, right?
Yes.
What are the benefits of dry season farming that we can explore around us in Benue State?
Thank you. The benefit associated with dry season farming is enormous. One, farming and relying on the wet season, on rain alone, constitute a lot of challenge and risk. Consequently, the need to diversify and ensure farmers against production failure is the development of capability so that farmers can produce even at dry season. So dry season is capable of increasing the overall food and nutrition security of means by which the greatest pathway by which means we can take farmers out of poverty. By dry season, it's just like a company. Instead of running one shift, you are running 2 or 3 shifts, as the case will be. Consequently, income of farmers will be enhanced, and that enhanced income is going to reduce poverty, is going to increase household item consumption, and a whole lot of it's going to this intervention alone is going to generate a lot of jobs, especially instead of leaving farmers to be idle at off-farm seasons. They are now busy on their farm, so they will be getting more income, and the multiplier effect is just too much.
All right.
Actually came in sincerely because I'm at the head of that now, taking from this point you call Pass Brother on Boko Road to Abinse. There's an island there, very fertile, which has always been left untapped, and we have actually engaged there. We are for this year going to cultivate up to 2,500 hectares for the dry season, which I have gone to survey the area. We have surveyed it. The whole island can take up to 10,000 hectares, but for this year, because we are just beginning, we take just 2,500 hectares.
Okay, Professor Abu, how does dry season farming contribute to food security nationally?
Thank you. You see, before this time, the production at artisanal farmers level relied on rain alone. And you can see that the pattern of rainfall and the associated climate change related issues is such that farmers don't know when to predict the rain, when the rain is coming, how long it's going to stay, and the extent of precipitation. Because of this, now there's a lot of crop failure. Take the case for rice that is water loving and water sensitive. If at the physiological phase of the vegetative growth of rice, you have cessation of rain for 3 weeks, Nathaniel, you have lost that yield. But in the case for dry season, you are perfectly in charge of the water control. You administer water when you see signs that there's moisture stress. This again too is not rocket science. All the farmers to the forces of nature that the rains, you don't know the extent of which it will come. This one again too, you can't also have challenges of flood. So with this management now, with the water management in the irrigation system, the yields is naturally higher than that of the rain-fed, which is relying on the sporadic nature of the climate factors, as the case will be. So with this one, everything is controlled. Everything is controlled. So you know when to plant, you know when to apply water. You know when
you are involved. Can you estimate the contribution dry season farming makes to sustaining food security in the country?
I don't have the current statistics, but I know I think a few months ago we were working on the Dadinkowa irrigation scheme. In the north, it is an elaborate, I can say it's between 40 to 50%, because in the north, all the basins are being fully utilized. All the basins are being fully utilized. So they are producing something like maize, for instance. Nathaniel, by now, some places maize is still coming out. They are coming, so you have food production fresh all year round.
All right. Dr. Saaku, help us understand the extent to which dry season farming contributes to food security across the country, and of course we'll narrow it to Benue State.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, as my institution's name is Sustainable Agriculture. You know, when you are using only one season, before you get to the other season, what you have produced has already been gone. But dry season irrigation farming now bridges that gap. Food is persistently on the table. You are bringing in as when due. It is not just that you are bridging so that it will go before you start another one. Because if you produce today and you have to take just 5 months before you start another production, what you have produced, you might have consumed all. Then when you are starting on a higher level. But when you are bridging this with irrigation farming, food is always there in sufficient quantity. And besides, irrigation production or dry season production yields higher than the rain-fed because of the many factors, as the professor has said. Because when you are controlling the water, you are controlling the weeds, and the fertilizer application, you are giving enough water to sustain these crops. And you know, once 2 or 3 weeks of not supplying water, when crops lack water, 2 or 3 weeks, you see it withering. And once it starts withering, production is heavily reduced. But when you are supplying water steadily, there's no issue of withering, and everything is done. For instance, in rice production, whereby during rain-fed, the highest you have will be 5 tons per hectare. When you do it by this irrigation method, sometimes it is 70 or 7 or even 8 tons per hectare. So it yields more, and it bridges the gap which you might have finished consuming. So as to Benue State, where everybody now takes rice and other food items like the cassava, the maize, and the potatoes. If you are now cultivating, you know that every year, after 3 months of harvesting of these crops, you find the prices soaring such that it becomes above the reach of the common man. But with irrigation farming, they will have more, and that will continue coming steadily. So it will even help our farmers better economically and nutritionally.
All right. Professor Abu, let's talk about what are the major challenges faced by farmers during dry season farming that could mitigate a proper practice of dry season cultivation.
Thank you. Earlier on, I had stated that in the river basins in the north are elaborately developed. In our own case, that is not the case. You see my colleague saying that they had prepared 2,500 hectares, as the case would be. So land preparation is the first step. And land population, even till date in Benue, is still a lot of challenge. On some fields alone, on some farmer fields alone, the stumps there is enough to prevent any mechanization and lower the yield significantly. So in land preparation, farmers need first possibly to put their lands together, then get a service provider. First step, remove all the stumps. Once the stumps are removed, now then that paves way for mechanization where the tractor can come and plow and harrow. Then the next challenge will be with very good quality inputs. Inputs lately, there's a lot of sharp practices. Farmers have been deceived and sold inputs that are substandard. And once you do that, you have killed a particular system. So for the dry season too, the quality of the inputs should be very, very good. Again, this is not rocket science. All they need to do is to liaise with the ADP, Banada for instance. Puts there, ask Banada to verify, and on that basis distribute. Benue has the highest farm labor within the north central area. A lot of the persons who should be on the farms are in townships, saying that they are PA. You can imagine one councillor having like 3 or 4 PAs. All these people who should be on the farm are not on the farm again. Some communities, women have to pass hole in between their legs to make ridges. That is how bad the labor situation is. In some other communities, like in my own Zone C area, they have to wait for the Twi-speaking community to finish their operation before they come to provide some labor. So labor is a very, very key and limiting factor as far as this mode of dry season production will be considered. Aside this now, then the next one is credit. We are saying that farm is a business. If it is a business, you have to produce not what you want to produce, but what the market wants. Consequently, you are going to improvise or make arrangement to get high-yielding inputs. And the cost of this high-yielding input farmer. Consequently, the traditional institutions like the Bank of Agriculture or banks that can loan money to such entity, it's not even there because they see this group to be very, very, very risky. So credit up to make this thing run effectively is a problem. Stress at which they lend and the conditions too is so prohibitive that farmers don't get shortchanged at the end of the day. So source of credit too is a major, major challenge, limiting factor to what we're talking about dry season farming. Then above all, dry season farming is not only limited to River Benue. Anywhere you have a low-lying aquifer that you can puncture, even if it's possible for you to just do a well and provide water, it will suffice. Consequently, that issue of providing water in terms of either you sink a borehole or a tube well, whichever one is convenient, the moment you do that, that is for dry season, that is the biggest. So you have a lot of low-lying fadama that is far away from a river body, but if you won't go up to 1 or 2 meters before you find water there. Such communities or such locations, they should be in provision where they can dig either an overhead pump and a borehole, pump water overhead, then the water is released via gravity and distributed to the fields. We see that in so many other African states where water is a major limiting factor.
Okay. Saaku, are there some of these challenges you would like to point out more as they affect dry season farming in Benue State?
Yes. As he rightly said, apart from the mechanization, which is very important, the other aspect of land clearing, we have to use bulldozers, these smaller ones, D6 or D7, so that the level of the land, sometimes you have to make it in gradient so that the water will be coming down by force of gravity to the other areas. If not, actually in some places, you find a distance where you will be supplying water will be very far from the other crops, and that will also affect them. Those that can assist in it will not actually be affected. For instance, the agri-life has gotten another substance called S-isob. It helps in retaining water in the soil. Even after 2 weeks of not irrigating, it will still help. But these substances are difficult to come by. Besides that, as he rightly said, the access to finance is another big problem. Sometimes some of these other bodies that can easily help, like the microfinance banks, their own rates are very, very high. And besides, their repayment periods are very short. Sometimes after 1 month, you have to repay. When the crops actually have not grown to maturity for you to harvest, it becomes a problem to the farmers.
All right, dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makurdi. We are discussing the practicing dry season farming in Benue State. And I have here in the studio Professor Godwin Abu, as well as Dr. Aondongu Saaku, both experts in farming issues. They are leading in the conversation. At 10 o'clock, you can participate by calling in on 0814-335-9292. I take the number once again, 0814-335-9292. The SMS line is 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. That line is already available for us to receive, and the line is also available on WhatsApp. Log on to our website on www.agateradiotv.com to listen to us and access other content of Agate Radio as well. Download the Agate Radio and TV app from Google Play newspaper. You can also find our streaming. We are available on all these platforms just to serve you beyond borders. Join us and be a part of the conversation. Professor Abu, let's go into the climate aspect of it. Is Benue climate actually suitable for dry season farming?
Thank you. Benue is unique in the sense that all the climatic parameters, there is hardly any crop that cannot be grown in Benue. God so endowed Benue that, Nathaniel, if you use your hand and fetch sand and you plant anything holding it in the earth, will grow. Benue shares between northern and southern Guinea savanna, and these are the richest components. So you have all crops ranging from the open savanna down to grassland and rainforest, as the case will be. So Benue's climate is very, very suitable for dry season.
Okay, and to what extent are we utilizing our climate and also some of the water bodies around us, especially the major river Benue, to facilitate dry season farming?
Thank you, Nathaniel. River Benue, in the strict sense of the word, is a virgin. We are not using River Benue for anything as far as this is for economic purposes as the case is concerned. River Benue had not been explored. Go to the other part of the world and see what they are doing with their rivers. Aside taking fetching and drinking, we're not doing anything again. Not even the inland water. Elsewhere in Southeast Asia that we've been, if you have a river like this, you are made. Come and see the tourist attraction that will be generated along its banks. That is not the case now. What we are having now, River Benue, is just, we are talking about potential, even after how many years of existence of the state. River Benue is untapped. The utilization Look at my colleague here saying that they just took 2,500 hectares. What is 2,500 hectares relative to the volume of water there? This is something that requires a conscious effort. Go to I just finished a story for the World Bank at the Dadinkowa irrigation scheme. It's they generate electricity. Land, all they need to do now, if it is, and the operations are synchronized. If it is land clearing, they move in with the equipment. Now, where it is not also possible that you have your lands in gradients, they now use a sprinkler, which is an advanced system. So if we know that the major problem with crop production is water availability, and once you solve, it's a once and for all investment. Once you make it, that's all, you just manage it. So why till today our investment as a state in irrigation facilities just now that we are waking up, and we are leaving a lot of those things to small farmers whose again capability is not there. Organized bodies like my colleagues' establishment, they will do that, but there's a limit to which they also can go. But the states too need to make the overall framework where people can now key in. Take the case for rice now. Benue has the capacity to reduce the cost of 150 kg bag by almost 30-40%. If we have a lot of idle people, give them inputs, give them access to this Fadama, dry season productions, and they can average 5 tons per hectare. And if they stake for 2 or 2.5 hectares, we're talking about a waiting period of 3 months. So in a year you can, if you are relaxed, at least you can have three cycles. So if we do this, automatically more paddy now will be available to be processed. But as it stands, when you have few paddy going out into the local markets for aggregators to scramble over, once they finish, they will demand an arm and a leg as price for it. Now, where people are scared because they don't know what will be the price of 1 bag of rice at Christmas, because the way things are going now. So the river Benue is just left unutilized, highly underutilized.
Okay, Saaku, you are a former state chairman of AFAN. From your experience with farmers, what practice of dry season farming across some local governments, to what extent do farmers engage in it to utilize the water bodies?
Thank you very much. I want to sincerely tell you that actually in the past years we were only preaching irrigation farming or agriculture. We were not actually going in. Even this one, I'm doing it because of my new organization. The quest for them to see that it takes roots in Benue State, knowing fully well, everybody knows that everything does well here in Benue. And if everything is not actually started, it's always a shame. In fact, other local governments have actually not started. Even my organization, I was talking of 2,500 hectares. It was just for this past brother, and I've been saying, I think we are actually started studying and surveying the lower Benue site at Tarka, so that we'll have at least 500 hectares there, and another area at Olajo in Ogbadibo, close to Okpoku. There's a river there that has water all year round. So we are also surveying such a place so that we make sure that they are also into this program. Other areas like Agatu, because of insecurity, cannot even start doing that, because the rivers, when you are producing, the cattle need the green. So once they see the green, they move in there. And because of the insecurity, it is difficult for them to do that. But as my colleague said, it is always good. In some other places in the north, they don't have even a stream, but they use boreholes in supplying water to their crops. So if we can have boreholes around all these other, the Fadamas in these other local governments, or irrigation, but we actually go into doing it. Sometimes the government fees, people just say it is costly, it is costly. They have actually not estimated and gone in to see. like the State Ministry of Agriculture has not also gone in to see, to try it and see how costly it is. But it is preached that it is costly. And then that scares everybody. If the government says it is too costly, then how can a peasant farmer now take that risk? So government should come in full force to do something concerning irrigation. Let's have boreholes. Island, because of the width of the island, we are still going to sink some wells or tube wells so that it will complement the distances of pulling water from the river itself.
Okay, now, Professor Abu, in terms of dry season infrastructure, the facilities that need to be in place for farmers to successfully practice it, what should be such an infrastructure?
Yeah, just like my colleague alluded, I just did a study for a company. The conservative cost for cultivating 1 hectare dry season, that was about 3 months ago, was at 950,000 naira. Nathaniel, how many farmers, as artisanal holders, can cough out 950 for 1 hectare as we stand? And anything short of this, you are reducing your yield. You are not optimizing the outcome. So it's like using an element needs to come to the assistance. Now, coming to the specifics of your question. First, the issue of a pump, water pump, is very, very important. If you have a flat plain, then you cannot irrigate via gravity. Consequently, you need an elaborate water channel. Then from the elaborate water channel, either you arrange for water now to be distributed sunk cost. The moment you buy, you don't need to buy the following year again. All you keep doing is just fixing and maintenance, as the case will be. So the major constraint now is that arrangement to take water. So you need, for instance, now look at where's the water, to what distance do you need that to pump. So you need to plan it in such a way that that if my farm is closer to the water body and his own farm is like another 2 kilometers away, we're not going to produce at the same cost, because the cost of taking water to my farm will be far negligible rather than him taking water 2 kilometers to his own farm. So when we plan it, then we now, maybe there's a reservoir somewhere at the center, then the reservoir now, through, even with solar pumps, it takes the water up. Then once you need to use this thing, you can release it as the case will be. So the major challenge now is the water system. It's not just enough to buy water pumps and give to farmers. If you give water pump to farmers, just like somebody now buying you a car and giving to you, how to drive the car and maintenance is a very key challenge. So for now, that's the only thing that is different in the farmer's experience between the dry season and the wet season is that pump, that water supply equipment. If you do that, then of course the land preparation. The land preparation now will be distinct. You will be done in such a way that water does not get stagnated in one point, that the drainages, along the channel, water channels along which the water will pass through before it is taken to the farm, all those things need to be neatly laid out.
Okay, Saaku, fund to ensure that smallholder farmers have access to them across the state.
It is not available. What we're doing is we're going to use a bulldozer to clear the land and make it slope so that some other areas can also do it. Because what my colleague said is very, very vital. When you are talking of 100 hectares, you are in one place, you are talking of a kilometer by a kilometer for 100 hectares. So it's not, we are talking of 2,500 hectares. We are talking of close to 3 kilometers. We're not talking of, we're talking of up to 10 kilometers. Because, so you are talking of 1,000 hectares, 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters. You divide and you see how it is. It's not a small land, and it's very, very large. So some people that are 2 kilometers away or 2.5 kilometers away, they need boreholes to supplement what they will be pulling from. Because these water pumps also have the horsepowers. If there are smaller ones, they cannot even pull water from the river to such places because it will be weak. The water getting to that place will not be enough for you to water your crops. So it is always good. And as my colleague said, it's always good to lay pipes in your irrigation field so that the water that is going through, you have some points that you allow water to come out that the farmer can now use from such points to irrigate their farms.
Okay, Professor Abu, the Benue is blessed currently to have its own son as Minister of Water, Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, who has been speaking passionately about irrigation farming. How can the state take advantage of having its own son to provide some of these facilities that could enhance dry season farming in the state?
Like you said, it's an advantage to have him there. He is disposed to supporting us. But Nathaniel, if somebody wants to bath you, you have to be using your hand to be rubbing your belly. As it stands, what we need for him to come in now, I don't think it's on ground. It's very, all the river basins fall within his mandate. And if you know too,
including the Benue,
Lower Benue.
Lower Benue.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. So now, you see, they're in the time past. Why are we talking about? Dry season now? Mandates for the lower Benue, for the river basins, had to do with dry season, but they all went into comatose to points that we don't. Otherwise, we should not. Dry season should not be new to us. The lower Benue river basins had cleared a lot of lands. They had developed a lot of facilities, but go to all their sites. They are overgrown. They are not. Nobody's there. It is what government is in the light of our challenges now. We now said, okay, whatever we need to do, don't rely on those structures that we can. So first and foremost, he can revive those centers in the first instance. Then two, this issue of the planning of the farmsteads. First and foremost, the scoping in this area where are the lands that offers that potential. What needs assessment. I don't see it to make us start dry season almost immediately, because all these are teething problems. And you know, in life, it is to start anything that is difficult, including crying. The moment you start crying, it's not difficult again. So it is at this point, this starting point now, that we need to get everything right, from land planning, how we are going to distribute the water, then how we are going to allot the plots, then how we are going to manage and attach service providers to them. Those are the things now that we need, the details, not speculations anymore. The details, then the inputs. Of course, dry season, it's not when the crops are on the field, then you start going to look for inputs. The inputs, everything has to be on ground, so that you apply as at when then you can get your desired yield. Not that you apply, you plant, then 2-3 weeks after the crops have emerged and they need to be boosted with growth enhancement fertilizer like NPK, then you start now looking for where to get money. One bag of NPK, you know how much. No farmer in the village now can afford that. They have to send to people in townships, and you see the hardship now in townships with the forced increased living cost. The amount we remit back to the villages for these incidentals are very, very minimal or negligible completely. So these are all the challenges now that needs to be factored and planned and executed once and for all.
Okay, Saaku, you want to chip in a word briefly on how Benue can take advantage of having its own son at the helm of the Ministry of Water Resources to facilitate irrigation farming in the state?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, as my colleague said, the state has to plan, do the planning for land availability and all these other things to meet the minister. For the chairman of AFAN cannot do that, and myself as coordinator of sustainable agriculture cannot go and meet him. When I leave, if I need anything, there are two places I go: Ministry of Agriculture and Bureau of Agricultural Development and Mechanization, the one you call BANADA. These are the supervisory bodies I know I can work with. So they are the ones to now lift everything from here to the federal. If I just have to go and approach him, on what level will I do that? I can't leave my people, my officers behind to go and start facing that thing. All that I need is my struggles. As I'm saying, even as I've started that, I'm actually for the assessment. They have to go and see what I'm doing. If they have any idea to sell to me or to assist me so that the production will be very okay, it will be. Even if it has to go to the governor, there are people who will go and now talk to the governor, who also go to site to see what we are doing. And if he feels there's something he will also have to do to support us so that this one must be a success, he will. The Minister of Water Resources is not farmers like me or the AFAN caretaker committee chairman.
Okay, Professor Abu, let's look at the crops that are suitable for dry season cultivation, especially on Benue soil. What are such crops?
Yeah, the crops, there are quite a number of them. And in selection, you select priority crops. For instance, now, rice, for instance. Rice falling within that domain. Rice is Nigerian is the highest, at some point, importer of rice in the world. Consequently, if we are reducing that import gap. So rice is a very, very premium commodity. Closely related to rice is maize. Within the maize, you know that the animals will keep the livestock. Maize form a significant component of their energy aspect in terms of feeds. So maize, there's a huge competition in terms of between human and animal. So maize too is a very, very important crop that we can. Closely related to this is vegetables, fruits. Take a case for tomatoes. The demand for tomato is almost inexhaustible. And tomato brings in a lot of income. So if we now target, depending also to where we want to take the full advantage, Nathaniel, is to where individual farmers now to produce a particular variety, in which case you don't even need a large-scale production at rural levels. Some, like maize, for instance, maize can, as we speak now, in some parts in close by Nasarawa here, maize, they are harvesting fresh maize as we speak. Not to talk about the upper north that the Kano, Kadawa flood basin, where you now have production going on all year round. Aside that one, just any fruit and vegetables, we can cultivate them. We can cultivate fruits and vegetables. And these are things that are very, very essential for the market. If we leave it for one cycle, those things, they come in periodically. They become seasonal. But if we now produce fruits, vegetables, then we are producing strictly for the market, and we are going to guarantee that this thing stays almost all year round, So these are all the commodities, but it doesn't make economic sense to go into cultivation of cassava, for instance, with irrigation facility, because it's on its own, it's a hardy crop. It can stand the rigors for which the other series like rice and maize cannot withstand, as the case will be. Then the case for yam too. So those are crops that you don't need necessarily to put in the irrigation platform. But as it stands, like now, some places in Kano, they are producing wheat now, and the yield is so good. So those farmers, go and Google and find the price of 1 metric ton of wheat. It is that international market price that these candidates, these farmers will sell. So there are a lot of commodities too that we will, since the farmers are producing not for subsistence, for the markets, part of the planning too, because on the basis of the soil testing too, we will recommend the suitable crops that you can. So we won't apply or start planting the crops blanketly, but the ones that are general in nature, the broad spectrum antibiotics equivalent now is the rice, maize, track with because that's what our colleagues, our contemporaries.
Which farmers in Benue, from your experience dealing with them as a former chairman of AFAN, they are cultivating some of these briefly, because we are due to start taking.
Thank you very much. As for me and my organization, we first on the list is fourth is cassava. Then we are mixing pepper, tomato, and okra. And actually, ugu stands on her own.
That's the pumpkin vegetable, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So these are things that we are looking forward to cultivate.
All right, dear listener, we are due to start taking calls, but that will be after this short breather. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Thank you for 90. Once you connect with us, we'd like to know your full name and where you're calling from. Then you go ahead and make your submission. Kindly keep it very brief. Good morning and welcome to Perspective.
Yes, my name is Orahi Theophilus. I am calling from Wuruku, Makurdi.
Very well. Go ahead, Theophilus.
Yes. The issue of dry season farming is not an issue of lip things, just lip service. It has to be practical. You see, especially from Benue, from Benue State, it's a shame. It's a shame because if you get to our markets, the Wuruku markets, Wadata, North Bank markets, you see the traders in the market scrambling on how to buy fresh products that are coming from the far north. If you see the garden egg and most of the tomatoes and pepper that our traders in the market are selling here comes from the north. It's very, very embarrassing. While we have the land, we have the manpower, it's just support from the government to support the small level farmers to carry out this simple task. It's nothing difficult, but you see, it at the time it is being spoken on the radio and action is not taken. And the painful part is the monies are budgeted on these activities and nothing is being done. So please, I urge the government to do something, to come and do something practical. Else, the hunger in the land is too much. That's just my small contribution.
Thank you, Theophilus, for your submission. We appreciate you. All right, even though the government may not go farming for people, maybe you want the government to provide some of the facilities. Thank you for joining us. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, my name is Kwangise Tewasi, coming from Makurdi.
Okay, which part of Makurdi, Tewasi?
Yes, high level to be precise.
Good. Go ahead, Tewasi.
I want to, because this is a new innovation totally that is coming to our state. And we really have to propagate this message, put the message across to individuals, people, and government in particular. Because if you look at the capital nature, how capital intensive dry season farming is, I don't know how some of us, few individuals, we might be interested, but how to go in to become a different thing. Like, for example, under Federal Ministry of Agriculture, we waited, this was last year. When I approached the office the last time, they said over 5,000 names, and it was just about 500 or 200 that came. And so if we are not seeing your name, it's unfortunate. And so government has to play a very, very vital role. Even up to now, some of us are still interested, but where to go to, we don't know. So please, if you can just maybe help us, give us your number or contact, or
okay.
how we'll be able to get across to you people, and then like that. If we don't even do it this year, next year. Thank you.
You have the land. You just want the facilities to aid you, right, Tewase? Okay, Tewase, thank you very much for calling in 0814-335-9292. That's a voice that seemed to be interested in dry season farming.
Yes, Nathaniel, good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives. Good morning.
From AFAN, local government.
All right, don't do it.
My regards to the team.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this program. You see, if we people have engaged in dry season farming, poverty wouldn't have been our portion by now. Very important. And a lot of people go playing cards and resting unnecessarily during dry season. So this topic today, like when you are washed up, say
No,
dry season farming
unfortunately,
needs more attention.
yes,
It needs your attention.
the
and my
network
attention when you are
seems to
into
be
it.
breaking. The network seems to be breaking, so maybe you want to change your position so we can hear you well.
Okay, are you getting me now?
Very well. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Now I was trying to say, despite the capital intensive nature of the dry season farming, people who are willing to be in should have to know one thing. You have to know that farming is now like a business. So when you are in a business, you don't have to, like consume all the interest. When you have a little money, you keep it, and gradually the money will be much for you to even dig a borehole, which you will be using if you are not close to a river bank, and if the government has not dug boreholes for us. We can collectively come together and dig a borehole for ourselves and to use during dry season.
Okay.
So we thought we will not be looking up to government for many things again. So thank you for the program.
James Donovan, before you go, I want to ask you, are people practicing dry season farming around Akbai in Boko, where you called in from?
Yes, we do it, but on a very small scale, because the rivers here do dry very quickly, and there are not much boreholes. People who have boreholes have them not for the purpose. We have River Uchawi here close to me. People do like egu during dry season. Some people do this okra in the dry season and all that, but on a very small scale.
Okay. Thank you. We hope help should come so that you get to expand on a large scale too. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Oga, Mr. Nathaniel, Nongu, good morning, sir.
Morning. Thank you for joining us.
My regards to your studio. My name is Nathaniel. I'm calling from Bajimba.
Good to have you, Nathaniel.
Yes, thank you so much. If I wanted to appreciate you, you begin to laugh. And you are always doing the same every day. Thank you, Oga. Thank you very much.
We thank you.
The issue of dry season farmer in Benue State, dry season is not something like you carry cutlass or home going to the farm. Dry season need a support. Like we in Bajimba here, that riverside, you went there, you see something. People from Katsina, Sokoto, Bauchi, this Hausa, they are doing this dry season for that side. And they are using bucket, this rubber bucket, pumping water inside that farm instead of using machine. So we here, if you have that support, what I'm needing is this machine, pumping machine. If you have pumping machine in this riverside, Ogu, Oklo, Alefo, many these things. If you have that machine, in fact, Oga, no be small money there for that side. What I'm telling you here, like last year, one house man got like 20-something thousand. Between now to February, 20-something thousand naira. So we need support. We need support for government. During Governor Samuel Oton was a governor of Benue State, he wanted to help us here because of farmer crisis and herdsmen. There's nowhere. If you go there, now your head. So we need support here. President Governor, give us support. No be small money there for that dry season farming. Thank you very much for this wonderful topic today.
Okay, Nathaniel, thank you. So it does appear the money is there, but insecurity is the challenge that is hindering. All right, thank you all the same for sharing the experience with us. Good morning and welcome to Perspective.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, the guest in the studio.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. My name is Timothy. I'm calling behind a Gate Production.
Okay, Timothy.
Timothy Dogo.
All right. Go ahead.
You see, this issue of farming, like there was a time I lived Benue to Southwest. So they now say, they took me to farm that I should be. I say, why? I live farming from Benue State. The whole of the federation know people that farm like Benue people. Then I came here, you are taking me to farm. I said, I can't farm. It was in Ibadan. From there, I lived to Lagos. So what I'm trying to say that we have fertile land. If we are talking of this, let us discuss about security also. You see, there was a time former governor of the state he went to see his farm in Chomu. Chomu is just very close to Benue. It's within Makurdi local government. So some harassments attacked him. The same thing in Agbo, in Makurdi local government too. So if we are mentioning this issue of dry season farming, let us bring security also. Security is very, very important. That is what I want you people to understand. Even the government also, yes, sir.
Timothy,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. The authorities, we believe, should take note that Benue people are actually interested in dry season farming, and part of what they also want is a security to enable them settle in the farming communities to practice dry season farming. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
This is Sarwuan, of Mike, the head of state, calling from Emanda Pumbayong, Makurdi.
Okay, go ahead, Sesu.
Yes, I want to appreciate the topic on board today very much because it's something interesting. Dry season farming is something that we promote farming in Benue State, but the facilities are not on ground. Government needs.
Hello, Sesu. Oh, we lost connection with you. Quite unfortunate, but the line is still open. If you are able to connect back, that will be fine. The SMS line is also available, 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404 is the SMS line, and the call line is 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Log on to our website on www.iGateRadioTV.com. and follow our social media pages where the program is also streaming. You may drop your comments there. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Yes, it still was also back on the line.
Oh, fortunate.
Yes, I was trying to say, in Bayongo community, we have big riverside that if we farm, we harvest a lot, but insecurity is a problem. The challenge of insecurity is something that we will not even there. So nowhere you work, you do dry season work. But it's a place where if you farm, even rice, you do dry season rice farm, you harvest a lot. Go to Idin behind Bajimba, you farm, but insecurity is a problem. So the government will also look for a way of challenging, importing security in our local area so that dry season will be promoted, and then development will still be in place in Benue State. Thank you.
All right, Thewase, thank you. And we hope a solution to come to insecurity should be tackled. Good morning.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
You're welcome. My name is Ibayi Makura. Thank you. My regards to guests in the studio.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Attending the topic of today is a nice one, but I think in my area here, we have a small river called the Ramu. It started from here down to, up through Makurdi and down to Benue River there. But we don't have enough water here to do that. The one that we used to practice here is a very small one. When the rains are around the corner, starting from March up to April, June, like that. We started it before the rain setting. But have there been the river has been? We have like dams here. We would have engaged ourselves into that. So, despite the fact that we don't have enough money, we cannot afford ourselves to do that. And my solution here is that government demonstrating this doing in order to know that Apereku started. Let them continue using that and dim a safe light for areas that are secured, so that will be continue And research shows that dry season farming is a good one. It reduces a lot of loss in terms of like that farming.
Okay, Ibrahima, thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate you for calling in. Beyond the government, what can individuals on their own also do to promote practicing dry season farming? Let's look at that too. Good morning.
Hello, brother Nathaniel.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, this is Solomon Peke from Uday.
Very well. Solomon, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My greeting goes to the professor and the other brother in the studio.
Thank you.
Relegation farming or dry season farming is profitable agriculture. We all know that. But my biggest problem, you see, my 7 years being in Kaduna, this these Muslim people make lots of money through this relegation farming. They prefer it than rainy season.
Solomon Peke. Hello, Solomon.
Yes.
I think it would have been proper to say people in Kaduna make money from dry season farming. It's not about religion. Anybody in Kaduna can be farming. Is that not right?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Let's not dwell on Muslim. Yes.
When we talk about irrigation farming here in Benue, my biggest problem, I know how much people invest money, but when we talk of doing it here, copying it the same thing, that of insecurity, the security of our life and the security of that farm crops, how it will not be consumed by animals. I think I one time contributed last time that how the Ministry of Animal will be destroying Ministry of Agri. So when we have livestock ministry, it should not be interfering in our Ministry of Agri. So this is what is happening, and it's bothering my mind. I must say this.
Okay, for today, we are staying on dry season farming. So let's look at areas it can be promoted and maybe possibly practice in your day where you are.
Okay, let's use our bank rivers in Benue. Let's use the bank rivers and let our people encourage this by helping us with our borehole. Let borehole be sink in so many farms. When there is dry season, there are many of them that they will be dry immediately after Christmas, and that will not help. But if there is way of dredging sinking those boreholes, it will help matters.
Okay.
It will encourage us. It will empower us. So let us be taking it as a step that everybody must do it.
Thank you.
Like Nathaniel will say, I must do it in my community. Then the professor will say, I must do it for my community.
All right. Thank you.
So it will help us.
And Solomon will start in your day too. Thank you very much. Once you start in your day, we will join you. Definitely. All right. 0814-335-9292. Let's take a few messages before we come back to the course. This one says, good morning to you and the guests. Banditry, the high cost of pesticides and lack of water for irrigation are the major challenges of dry season farming. Dry season farmers face in north central Nigeria. Nigeria is yet to maximize its irrigation potential in farming. Even those near natural water bodies like rivers, lakes, islands have not maximized irrigation farming. This is rather surprising because the south of Nigeria, which holds a majority of the country's inland and territorial waters, is not very committed to farming, while the north, which is more passionate about farming, does not have much inland or territorial water. This disparity in water availability and farming interests across Nigerian regions threatens dry season farming in Nigeria. The limited inland water in the north, which is more passionate about agriculture, poses an irrigation challenge. Perhaps the north has much natural body of water as the south. It is more likely that the north could have prioritized irrigation farming. Ephraim from welfare quarters in Makurdi. Okay, Cool, thank you. Your message is a bit complex, but thank you all the same for sending it in. This one says, I like dry season farming, but two issues, lack of finance and herdsmen disturbance. Okay, Yima Zoho from Agan. Okay, Yima, we hope the issue of herdsmen disturbances will be a thing of the past too, so that you can practice dry season farming. This one said, good morning to you and all the guests in the studio. I am Gawon Tefa Abraham from opposite New St. Joseph Parish, Akbehe, Makurdi. I want to ask that what is the government of Benue State doing to encourage Benue farmers to go into dry season farming? I personally recommend that the federal government and Benue State government to provide water channels to our rural localities. If this is done, many of us can go into dry season farming. Water is a major problem to many of us. So let government do something about water issue. Thank you for the program. All right. Thank you very much, Gowon, for your message. We appreciate you for participating on the program. Good morning. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Perspectives. All right. We lost connection with you, but the line is still available. All right. Let's look at some of the reactions the callers have made. But Professor Abu, listening to the callers, you know that some Benue, if not all, at least Benue people are interested in dry season farming. But one issue they pointed out is insecurity, which resonated with almost all the callers. Is there any likelihood of practicing dry season farming in a way that maybe we can overcome the insecurity and practice it genuinely?
Thank you. They have raised very important concerns. The insecurity is exogenous. That is, it is something beyond the control of the farmer. So, and the assumption, anything we do in life, it is assumed that security is taken for granted. If you don't have security, there's nothing anybody can do. And from the Constitution, the primary responsibility of every government is to secure her citizens and her investments. So the security now falls squarely within the exclusive list of the government actions. As citizens, yes, we are also helping elaborate security for the farmstead. Take judicial notice that Benue started moving from a food sufficient now to food dependent. Look at the rural communities that hitherto this time were sending excess of their production into the township for sales. As we speak, a significant percentage of those communities have been displaced by this conflict. They are in IDP camps. First, they first told us it was a temporary problem, that it will be settled. Nathaniel, this is getting to several years now. These persons are not producing. They are in camps, and they are living on handouts, consequently causing a very huge food deficit that is manifesting in terms of the food inflation that we were experiencing. At about April of this year, food inflation was hovering around 30 to 40%. And it is worse for us in Benue because Benue is one settlement that has high percentage of individuals on fixed income. And the moment you're on fixed income and the price of those things change or go up, as the case will be, you can provide security. First and foremost is secured. If it is not secured, then it amounts to total waste of efforts.
Okay, Saaku, earlier on you pointed out that the farmers generally are interested in dry season farming, but you also made mention of insecurity affecting them. You were using Agatu as a template. Beyond Agatu, are there other places that are a bit more secure that farmers are engaging in dry season farming?
Thank you for that question. You see, one thing that everybody has to know is dry season farming is done in clusters. It's not like wet season where you go and farm on your own somewhere. It is always better to farm in clusters. Many will actually take some steps. For instance, I told you that I've started dry season clearing of land from past brother here to Abinse. the cooperative I'm using actually reported to the advisor on internal security, and they had a meeting which the Navy have been pushed to that place to see that the headers don't cross from the other side to the crops. So if you do that in clusters and report to the government, it's always better than you trying to say you will now enforce and do something. I want to let you know that in Sengev, in Gwe West local government, where people were not going at all, some people have farmed there over 200 hectares, and they are working on that up. They are about harvesting now. But they reported to government, and the army has been pushed to that place. So they go with army, come back with army, and they are about to do their own harvesting. So once you do something reasonably, the one that will actually prove that you are doing something, 200 hectares is not a small work. Production from that, if, for instance, you are having 40 bags per hectare and you are having 200 hectares, it means you are talking about 800 bags, which is 80 tons, which is not a small thing. And they are now working. So when you are working in clusters, you also have to report to government also. Start with, from your own traditional rulers. Okay. If it is about them, they will go to the government, and definitely something will be done.
All right.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning to you.
I am Ilium Alfred calling from Wayfield Quarters.
Thank you.
You know the issue, Ilium Alfred, popularly known as Kido.
Alfred, go ahead.
The issue of farmer, as that person is talking, if they gather together to do that farm, do you know how much that army are cutting these people to go and harvest that rice? Not with more money. So we are talking of poor man should get. That's why we are talking. We are talking of if we are talking here. We don't have power to go and report to government to scale our farm. That's why the example that you talk from Sengu is not good. That people get money. They carry army. They are taking care of them. Okay. Not all of us will get money. Thank you.
Okay.
Kido JP.
Alfred, thank you. All the same. Well, that's okay. Well, our discussion is not purely on that. We are still on dry season farming, so we'll stay on that. Good morning.
Morning, presenter.
Thank you.
I'm just in the studio.
Thank you.
I'm Nyajo Godwin from Bajimba.
Good to have you, Nyajo Godwin. Go ahead and make your submission.
My first point is the issue of facilities. You know, the irrigation farming in our areas or in Benue State, they find it difficult to have facilities, especially that water pump machine. It's very important. As far as our soil is very fertile, it's very difficult to have this machine. This financial support can help the farmers to get the herbicides that we to preach the importance of this policy to our people in various local governments in Benue State is very difficult. So I am of opinion that the government of the day, especially the Ministry of Agriculture, should use this medium of national orientation to preach our people. And our representatives who are from their own constituencies, people that have the intention to do this irrigation, they should go to their constituencies and make support to them or advise them on what to do.
Okay.
Otherwise, this thing cannot take us anywhere.
Okay.
As far as our representatives are not helping us. Lastly, sir, the issue of alerting the government, I believe they have known the policies of government to its citizens. They should not wait that these people that have intention to do irrigation should alert them before they will assist them or to encourage them.
Okay, thank you, Nyajo Godwin. Thank you very much for your position. We appreciate you. 0814-335-9292. If you are just joining us, The program is Perspectives, and we are discussing practicing dry season farming in Benue State. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Yes, Nathaniel, my name is Jonathan Chavez.
Good to have you join us, sir.
Yes, thank you for this program. Thank the guest.
Sir, you're joining us from which part of Benue or Nigeria?
Makurdi North Bank,
all right.
Udko Estate.
Very well, sir.
Yes, I think this first year that the government has decided to get us into dry season farming should be used for sensitization to educate our people on dry season farming. And I think the local government should take the lead in this information dissemination. Our local governments, they are supposed to be independent now. And I think they should concentrate on agriculture. The state government, I think what they ought to do is first secure those lands that Apple cleared. Many of them were near water bodies. Many of these lands, in hundreds of hectares, secure those lands and begin dry season farming there. I think it's possible. If they can't do it this year, they should use this year to secure those lands and then plan to get them cultivated in next dry season.
Okay, sir.
And the insecurity is very vital. One of the panelists there talked about people having soldiers. It's very expensive, like another man pointed out to. Very expensive to keep soldiers around. I'm from Kwande, Baraku, and we have a lot of water bodies around. But during this dry season, this is now the time that the herdsmen go around the river by the rivers we have. And lastly, the state government will also have to look into the issue of dams, establishment of dams. Aperaku had wanted to establish a dam in Kogem, where he had a ranch. There was a plan to establish a dam there for hydroelectric production and also for farming. They should review. In fact, Nathaniel, let me just say that let them go back and dust those agricultural plans of the late Apelaku's government.
All right.
They were excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your submission. We appreciate you for calling in. All right. Hello, good morning. Hello. Thank you for joining us on Perspectives. Okay, you are on, but we can barely hear you. So the line to call is 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. If you are not able to get through to the line, simply send us an SMS to 0912-699-9404. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Nathaniel.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Yeah, Comrade Michael Seyimanyepura, all the way from Bakuan Council Ward, but here in Boku local government area of Benue State.
Michael Nyekura, thank you. Go ahead and make your submission.
Thank you. I will pray. Speaking of what government has been doing to support people in the local, we're talking of local people in the community. Look into it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for your brief submission. 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. The SMS line is 0912-699-9404. We will take a few more calls before we wrap up. Okay, hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you and welcome to Perspectives.
Stephen.
Okay. All right.
Calling behind the lower Benue, Makurdi.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Stephen.
yeah, go.
All right.
You know, the issue of irrigation is key in agriculture because the climate is not the same as before. But here in Benue, that's the interest of the people in Benue. In terms of agriculture, here in Benue, the investment is poor. And the issue of security is also very important. The government have to key in to secure the funds for the farmers to really work to produce food to service the people. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for calling in. Your submission, Stephen. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Stephen says the government should also, insecurity, of course, has been a subject on, but let's look at areas that we can overcome.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Yes, my name is Fiasi. Calling you from Panelists University.
Fiasi, you sound inaudible. Could you speak up so that we hear you better?
Okay, can you appreciate my
Very
bass sound now?
Yes.
Thank you. Prof, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I want to appreciate you for this program.
Thank you.
Actually, Agate Radio is causing awareness, and members are getting informed of things. Just like Eda Javi has said, this is a form of awareness, and the awareness must be taken all the nooks and crannies. Why do I say so? Any new thing that comes require giving people orientation about how they can go about it. We have issue of insecurity in this country. Benue is also affected. Reason being that most of our water channels have been taken over by urbanization. And the ones that are left, there is competition on them. And that is the reason why the security challenge can never go because of this. Dry season farming is capital intensive. The example callers have given is just before us. If you go to the north, they put in more money into dry season farming. You cannot just wake up a day and start dry season farming. The equipment are very expensive. The water channels to where it can be irrigating these crops is what you need to be up and doing. Where's the money? In such a situation in Benue State, I would advise that there should be cooperatives. Cooperatives should give out money to those who will be ready to go into this farming on just, I think, a single or 2 digits rate. That would be okay. And by so doing, security will be beefed out. Where areas where it is prone that there will be attacks. And then government on its part will also ensure that the people are protected through the security that is beefed out. I think with this, we can embrace this modern way of farming, which the world have driven into, and Benue also want to key into.
Okay, thank
Prof,
you, Professor.
Thank you for the awareness, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution to Fiase Mutu and on areas the state can key in to drive dry season farming. Okay, we are gradually drawing to our concluding points, but a few more messages before we wrap up. In the meantime, the SMS line is 0912-699-9404. The call line is 0814-335-9292, 0814-335-9292. Some few messages here. This one says, I like dry season farming. Okay, this the same person who sent in the message earlier. That's okay. Let's look at other new ones. Okay, it's a repeated one coming in. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
This is Ada calling from North Bank.
Okay, good to have you, Ada Peter.
Good morning, my prof.
Good morning.
Good morning to other presenters for today.
Thank you. We do not have time. Peter, just go ahead straight.
Okay, dry season farming I'll consider it as a bailout for Benue farmers. If we can indulge in dry season farming, it will increase our output. It will make farmers to be more efficient. For instance, for rice farmers, you can cultivate rice 3 times in a year. But without practicing dry season farming, our farmers are waiting for the rains to come back. And there is a loss of yield. So dry season farming is very important. And what we farmers should do is to form cooperatives. In the inter villages, we can have boreholes where there are no rivers and dams, good boreholes and good construction of irrigation systems, so that those farmers will use this water for irrigation. They only need awareness. They are making more money from farming. You can see a young boy of 25 years taking 6 million, 7 million in farming. What will be hard for them to put like 500,000 to gather a cooperative so that they will have boreholes that will sustain them during dry season. So if you give them this awareness, I think they will key into it so that we'll have bumper production in Benue State.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for calling in. Okay, Prof.
Yes.
Looking at the reactions of callers. Of course, that will be the last call we'll take on the program. Let's make a summary of what you make of the reactions from callers. They are interested in dry season briefly, and then we'll draw our concluding thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. The callers have responded in a way and manner an investor will respond. They are the stakeholders. They are the ones who will go into this practice. The issue of security, there's nothing anybody can say. It's just something we take for granted. Even when my own colleague in the studio had given a practical experience of what he did or a few cooperatives have done, and you can see their reaction. When you start hiring, Nathaniel, just like you now hiring a police to be going after your child in the whole this thing, that is a problem itself. So what government can do, the minimum is to guarantee security. For cooperatives or farming clusters to be using soldiers to guide themselves is a no-no for me as far as we're concerned. It is the primary responsibility of government to return normalcy. The way and manner they do it, we don't know. But they should be on that and should put that as a priority. My friend Fise from BSU raised a lot of important points, especially the cooperatives. Cooperatives, yes, cooperatives in America, where I was a few years back, everything in America is cooperative. Cooperative is working because their capacities are enhanced. But back home here, a lot of our cooperatives are suffering from allied capture. I am here in Makurdi, in township. If there's the politician is going to share anything in the village, I'll quickly go and incorporate one. And the moment I go and get their benefit, that ends the amount of the cooperative. So we need first to build the capacity of these cooperatives. Then the enlightenment. Then on loans, elsewhere, and the loan to farmers at single digits. But in Nigeria, when they want to loan to farmers at concessional rates, the people that turn up to collect those loans will not be farmers again. And in the end, the money will not come. So government needs to, aside loaning at single interest, to find a way to make sure that people who are not farmers come to take over this loan. Like we said, the dry season is the game changer. Look at Israel, for instance. Israel is arguably the biggest producer of grape in the world. And Israel is a barren and arid agroecology. So, and with Benue, with the resources we're having, all we're saying is let the government put the necessary infrastructure on ground. Like my colleague here said, it is not something that is scattered. You pull the resources together. One, it has to be unique. Unique in the sense that it must have a propensity to give you water, either close to a body of water or that the aquifer is so close by that you can punch and get water out of it. And all these things too, government has to be involved to provide facilities and find a way to, because it is business, farmers are even willing to pay back whatever the government has sunk over time. So I think we need to take up the game beyond verbal convictions than to go into the field proper by putting the necessary infrastructure in place.
Okay, so let me have your thoughts, Mr. Saaku. How stakeholders, including you farmers and other institutes, can collaborate to support dry season farming. This should be your concluding words.
Yes, dry season farming, as I was saying before, is done in clusters. You don't have to do it individually on your land. If more people come to do it, it is better. Just as it is, when many people come together, they can now pool their resources, as my colleague said, to one thing, and even the water, they can have they have the production. One thing is, if really government of Benue State want more production, let the facilities, the inputs be supplied, like the water pumps, the improved seeds, and the fertilizers and the herbicides, so that these things can actually enhance our production. I also want to make it emphasize that many local governments don't have River Benue or River Katsina moving across to them, but they also need irrigation farming. So more boreholes should be dug for them so that they can do it. In fact, when farmers cluster to do it, let them get to the site. Once they have the site and they have the preparation, let government assist the local or the state dig boreholes for them so that can be done. Because it's not just a game changer. It's something that will now revive the farmer. Because when you do your wet season farming and everything is destroyed, you are more distressed than when you started the work.
All right. So, Prof, let me get your concluding thoughts on what strategies farmers can use to scale up dry season farming, very briefly.
Yeah, one, government is disposed now. The business, it's a business. Consequently, the cooperatives that we talked about, it's an individual thing that dwells so much on cooperation. We are in a cluster, and we should have a common goal of maintaining provision and maintaining the facilities that are available. In other places that it is poorly contrived, they will start only to discover that there's a challenge and that those monies will be lost, as the case will be. So before you start, you make a very good plan. There are so many places that they have done the land preparation, all they needed to do. They have even purchased pumps, but the capacity, the horsepower is not enough to deliver the water. And so all these are the issues too that AFAN too has a lot of responsibility by being the mouthpiece of these farmers between service providers like inputs, this and now. If after investing all this, you farmer now go to buy a fake seed, what is the repercussion? The seed company had gone with its money, the farmer now goes with the loss. And what happens? So these are all the issues now that AFAN, government, and regulatory agencies should up their game to make sure that any person that supplies any fake input to the farmer, there should be consequences.
Okay, let's conclude with this message. Good morning, I am Teungwa Godwin. You see, the rate of hunger in our country now, especially Benue State, dry season farming could have been a very good, welcome development. But the issue we look at is like in my area, in Goma local government area, Gasha precisely, insecurity is there. The whole of Nongu community is surrounded with river and streams, but we cannot try to engage in dry season farming because of herdsmen. So the government should help us in the area of security, and people are wise enough now to practice dry season farming to sustain their family needs. Thank you, Godwin Teungwa from Agasha. Okay, Godwin, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. And this is where we take concluding thoughts on the program. Professor Godwin Abu is a former director, Institute for Food Security at the Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makurdi, currently the program coordinator, markets and institutions at that institute. Thank you very much, Professor Abu, agricultural economist, for joining us on this edition. We are grateful to you for your thoughts.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
Currently state coordinator, Institute for Sustainable Agriculture, Natural Resources and Research Center. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
Dear listener, that's our program today. Thank God it's Friday, TGIF. Have a great weekend and join us next week, Monday, for a fresh edition. Goodbye. I am Nathaniel Nongu.